What is going on, everybody? We are live. Give you a thumbs up here. Make sure everybody can hear me. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay. And we're going to get into it. I'm going to be painting the wood for the Warcry terrain again. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to be creating a darker kind of shadow wash color and just separating some of these details before we pick them out. So it should be fun. Hopefully it looks good. Hopefully it looks good enough that we don't have to start over again. Just before we get started, I'll show you I got the eel bases for the Deepkin warband coated with the texture paint. So I got to prime them. I'll just prime them black and then Zenith will prime them. But we got the seashells and cork and stuff covered up good so it doesn't just look like cork, hopefully. And then, I put a magnet on top so we can just magnetize the eel right on top. So, super simple. We'll be painting those guys, I'm sure, somewhat on stream. So let's get those out of the way. What I'm going to be using for my wood wash shadow color is Contrast Cygor Brown. I actually spilled this. You can see here. I spilled it last night seeing what color I would like for my wash for the wood. I could go Agrax, I could go like a brown inks, a wildwood. And I decided to go with Cygor, and I spilled it for this first time I ever spilled a Citadel paint. But not because of anything to do with the bottle itself, but I had it like in my hand like this, and I guess squeezed, and it kind of shot out like that. Like I was doing something and then I squeezed and it flicked out of my hand. So not the fault of the bottle, but a bummer nonetheless. So you can see here I got a nice stain on the desk now. I tried to clean it up good, and unlike some people that just seem to maybe sit and take a picture, I actually scooped it up with the pipette and used some contrast medium to thin it out, and more or less I think I recovered most of it. So we're going to use a little bit of contrast medium, but I think I'm going to switch over to mostly just flow improver. I want to thin this out, so I'm just going to use this little pipette, and we'll just put some in the thing there. I'm going to make kind of a lot, I guess. Because it's a lot of wood on the terrain. And it'd probably be better if I don't have to do this twice. Just kind of rinsing out the pipette in the water cup. So even if I have to do it twice, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but it'd probably just be better if I did it once. So we'll put some water in there too. And already, I don't think this is going to be enough for all the terrain really, but we're going to do flow improver. Maybe a little more water. And you know what? Just to help make more, I'm going to use some of my brown dipping wash, Vallejo. This is actually the wash I used on the wood itself before I dry brushed it last night. So that one's lighter though than the color of the Cygor Brown, but it'll help just add a little bit more brown pigment in there without wasting as much of the contrast paint. Ugh, what a mess. Wow, this one got real messy. Dang. These dipping wash formula, let me wipe this off real quick. It's kind of running down the sides. These are $10.98 for this huge tub, and I think contrast paint's like $8. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of the black in too to kind of darken it back up. So this is kind of how I approach making my own washes. Just have fun with it. So yeah, we'll put a little bit of black back into there. Obviously, the more ingredients and colors in my mix here, the harder it is to duplicate. But because it's organic kind of wood we're painting, the actual exact duplicating is not as important. So there we go. We'll stir that up and we'll start working. And then we'll just work through it one piece at a time and hopefully we don't run out. So give that a nice stir. Hopefully I didn't just spill over the side. This little plastic cup is just from the wedding section or party section at the dollar store. And they're like little hors d'oeuvre trays. And they're really nice for making nice trays for mixing washes and stuff in. But what really makes them nice, I'll show you on an empty one here, because of the shape, how they kind of squeeze in there at the corners, and every corner is like that, it makes it really good to mix your wash or mixture in, and then you can pour it into your airbrush cup right out of here with like no spillage. So that's why I bought them, and you end up using them here and there. So we'll check it on a piece of... So that's pretty dark. You know, I think we're gonna add... I want this to be somewhat of a... I'm gonna add some more flow improver and water. I want it to be, you know, a wash and not just like a straight brown contrast painted in shadow. But by the way, doing this with your brush is very, very bad for it. So I should be using a different brush. Obviously, I'm spoiled because I have my own paintbrush company. The Ghost brush is here. You can get them on eBay. Follow the link in the description if you want to get a set. But doing stuff like this with them is gonna, you know, reduce their life expectancy because I'm getting so much paint down in the ferrule here. So what we'll do is we'll just give it kind of a squeeze and a wipe, and then I'll rinse it off in the water. And that'll be good enough for now. So we're still going to use this brush, but this brush has been with me for probably almost a year. So at this price point, I feel like they're a pretty darn good product, and people seem to love them. So here we go. What we're going to do is we'll test it out on this little guy because he's no risk. As far as if I mess up, it'd be easy to fix. What I want to do is just put the wash, basically black lining, except it's brown. And all I'm doing is basically just picking out where the metal is, and separating it a little bit from the wood by creating a shadow. Still think this actually could be thinner because we don't want like dark lines, but we're kind of getting that. And then we want to bring it down there to maybe put it in there where there'd be some shadow. Could even put it on the inside there where like that would be in shadow more. So that hopefully just makes the details pop a little bit better. I'll do this other one, and I think I'm actually going to add a little more flow improver and water again. I want this to really just flow, almost like a pin wash, but without using oil paints. We used oil paints in the beginning of the terrain, and it worked really nice, but I don't want to do it again because I'm trying to get this stuff done. So there we go. And then the good thing here too, if I have leftover of this brown wash, I can take one of these little cups. I made a video about these, and I could fill it up, and I'll have my leftover brown wash mixture in a little cup for future projects, so I'm not going to waste it. So I'm not worried about mixing too much or anything like that. Yeah, I kind of think I want this to dry a little more subtle. And one way to make it dry a little more subtle would be just thin it out more, just so the pigments kind of spreads a little more as it dries. And that's it, really. I mean, this is just trying to make those details pop a little better. I am going to go ahead and go a little bit more flow improver, a little bit more water. Once again, when you're mixing paint like this, just use your most beat up, cheap brush you got, or even the back of the brush would have been better than the actual brush. But like I said, this brush has been with me for over a year, probably somewhere around a year of almost constant use, and it's still holding up pretty good. So it's still doing work for me, so we're just going to keep using it. So on these ones, they get a bit complicated because you want to separate. I guess we just start at one end and go from there. So yeah, if I can separate where the metal, not bad to put it where the skeleton is pressing up against it. And it just dawned on me that this is going to be a little tedious because there's a lot of details on these wooden fences. But basically what I'm doing is just kind of selling or trying to create the illusion of a cast shadow. Even though I'm putting it above it too. I'm basically just saying, like, here's a shadow surrounding a detail, so go ahead and check out that detail. Any part where the chain crosses over the wood, that's a good spot to fill in beneath it. And if you're in above, kind of frames it. It's, you know, it's black lining, it's framing, whatever you want to call it. Pin washing. Except it's not so thin that I can just touch it to all the details and let it run into all the crevices. I have to basically paint it on, but low stress because there's really no right or wrong answer. I mean, not a bad idea if you're going to paint a shadow like on a chain, the shadow underneath being a little bigger than the one on top is, you know, a good place to aim, but not a big deal. Then anywhere this wood crosses over, even here like on this band, I'm going to just go ahead and wash that. But where the wood's crossing over other wood, let's just darken that in. Dark shadows, contrast, that's what sells a good looking model. By putting the wash on things like these little vines and stuff, that way when I go in and paint those, hopefully I can just get them in almost one coat because they already have the shadow. So as long as I can avoid covering up my shadow with the whatever color I just said those vines are going to be, probably some kind of neutral green. it'll be basically like I'm highlighting the color of the vine right on the first pass. I'm not 100% sure if I want to like do this on the ground. You know, I think also in these like really kind of deep cracks, it's so many of them though, but I think that's going to look better if we kind of fill those in. And the one part where we want to be a little careful is around the stone. It should still have that nice cast shadow where the stone meets the wood. But like I said in the previous video, I do not want to do the stone again. So try to be careful around there. Any mistakes though are going to be permanent because I'm probably not touching them up at this point. Sometimes you just reach that level of, you know what, I think this is done. So if you make a mistake, you may not go back and fix it. So yeah, put it on these skulls. I mean, these skulls haven't even been base coated yet with like a bone color or nothing, but now that they have a nice dark shadow under them, just a quick, easy, good looking highlight. And they should be fine. And that's basically it. It's just what we're going to be doing. Unfortunately, we're going to have to repeat it over and over and over again. That's why I made a lot of the wash. And then hopefully when it's all said and done and dry, it'll be subtle enough that it looks pretty good. And if not, well, we could go in with an Agrax Earthshade or something and just wash the whole thing. And that would be a way to tie it together, but not the plan currently, so hopefully we don't have to do that. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Really darken this underneath the skeleton. There we go. So that's the backside, kind of dry now. So it definitely has. What up, Ted? It's only 11 o'clock here, so it's not actually too late for me. But I did plan on maybe trying to go to bed at 1 or 2. I don't know if I'll be streaming till then, of course. But so yeah, I mean, it's already building up the shadows in that wood. And Inquisitor Zane's in the building too. What's going on? And then this one, before we watered it down a little more, it's not quite as subtle, but not terrible. So there we go. We got one little fence done. Let's move on to the next one. Basically, it's just a matter of where does the wood touch something else or other wood. And that's where we put our new wash. And then just because I ended up doing it on that first one, we end up hitting a little bit extra on the base of them too, just to and I'll probably speed up quite a bit as this goes on, and obviously get a little bit looser and more likely to make mistakes. But if this was like a display board for a golden demon entry or something, you know, you have to keep telling yourself to slow down. But in this case, you have to keep telling yourself it's just terrain and don't worry too much. But I do want it to look nice. Painting up an Invictor war suit. Oh, it's already 2 a.m. there. Yeah, I was doing really, really late night streams, and then trying to be a little less up that late. Even though recently I was staying up that late again, but I was playing a video game and ended up playing that more than hobbying, so I deleted it off the computer again. I can't have computer games on or I end up playing them too much and not getting my hobby done. Which is probably why I'm still working on Warcry terrain, even though it could have been finished by now. I've actually been playing Warcry with friends on Saturdays, so that's been fun. Nice to actually get some gaming in. Any of these really deep spots too, maybe not all of them, but some of them on the wood. You know, not a terrible place to put a little extra wash, so. Yeah, the illegal Warcry. Slaw in the building, what's going on? So, I just noticed I wanted to go back and put a little bit more on this one's. These ones in the middle of the spikes. So. There we go. So that's 2 done. Yeah, I've been doing Warcry, and that's about it. Got my terrain here, getting close to being done. After I finish all the wood, I just got to do the metals, and then like the skeletons and little vines. Now on these features that have a lot of the purple kind of stone, got to be more careful because I do not want to have to fix that stone again. That's what kind of, well, who knows what drove me to download my video game again, but could have been a lot of things. I think I was getting a little burnout of working on terrain and maybe not stir crazy from the pandemic, but I was definitely really productive at the start of it, and then I guess I lost a little bit of my energy towards getting all my projects finished. But yeah, when I had to airbrush the stones, and that covered a lot of the wood that I airbrushed, and it almost felt like I had to paint this, or had to paint this twice. Which led me to not get much done lately. Yeah, we've been doing illegal Warcry at my apartment. Which by illegal Warcry I just mean as a joke that all the game stores, game rooms are pretty much still closed. So a couple friends have been coming over and we've been playing in my apartment. And since Warcry is a small table-sized game, it's pretty convenient. You can actually fit it on a little card table. Oh, I do not want to spill that. Hit it with my pinky. So this is basically just the second time I'm washing all the wood on this terrain, but this time it's a darker selective wash. Tell you, from my oil wash, I'm still finding cotton from my Q-tips in the crevices of these things, this terrain. So I heard if you actually use Q-tip brand cotton swabs, they don't lose as much cotton fibers in your models, but I'm using like the Walgreens brand, Equate, I think that's Walgreens brand. They left quite a bit of cotton fibers in my, when you're cleaning off the oil paint. So be aware. If I see them clear enough or they look like they're sticking out and I can get them with my tweezers, I do. But I'm not going to scrape at it to try to dig it out if I see it like stuck in a small area. Because with these layers of paint, going over top of them, some of them are really kind of painted over and going to be stuck in there forever. There we go, that looks good. Let me flip it over, now we do the inside. I almost feel like we started on the inside of this one, but I don't think we did. But yeah, Warcry, my unmade warband, I still haven't finished basing them either. I kind of lost my steam on couldn't come up with exactly how I wanted to do it. So they're all painted. You guys watched on stream, but they're still not based. But in the game, the campaign, they just got their first territory. So now they can hire an ally. So I think I'm going to hire up the Myrmidon Ogroid, the big Minotaur with the spear. Really, really a cool model. Which means I got to get this terrain painted so I can paint my Minotaur. It's one thing with these big terrain projects when you are trying to take your time on them a bit is they take a lot of time. Feels like I'm not wasting my time, but missing out on painting all my cool Warcry models to paint the terrain here. Oh yeah, maybe I'll have to check out the cotton swabs for the nails. Because the Equate cotton swabs for your ears, like a Q-tip shape, left a little bit of extra lint on my model. But yeah, it's been pretty sweet as far as playing. Obviously, GW doesn't play test their games that much because I've only played like 10 times. And I can see immediately that, some warbands are better than others and like by a long shot. And then, some abilities that they give these models are so pointless. It's like, have you guys played? Like, for some reason they think giving your model like bonus to its strength or something, like, oh, you could get +3 strength on your model. It's not good at all in game compared to if you have an ability or a model with the ability to, say, give yourself +3 attacks, since a lot of your damage is coming from crits anyway. Strength doesn't matter about crits. 6 is always crit. More attacks is better in most cases. So they try to make these like big models like, oh, you got 3/6 damage but only 2 attacks. And then they'll make another model which is like 2/4 damage but they'll have 5 attacks. And that one does more damage almost always. Because if he rolls lucky and gets a couple crits plus a couple hits, I don't know, hopefully I wouldn't actually mind. I'm not expecting it, but I would not mind if Warcry got a General's Handbook-esque style, points update. Some models are probably a little too good for their points. Some are shockingly bad. I'm happy, so on the Unmade Warband, there was 3 Awakened ones and 1 Joyous one. And if you remember me, I was like, okay, I'm going to convert one of the Awakened ones into another Joyous one, so I have 2 of each. Well, it turns out the Awakened ones are complete garbage. So they're the first ones I dropped from my campaign. And also the ones, I had 2. I dropped 1 almost immediately because it was so bad. The model was way too many points for a 10 hit point model. So then I only ran 1 in my campaign warband. And now that I have access to an ally, I'm dropping him and using those points to get a bigger ally, a bigger, better ally. So I'm really glad I didn't build 3 of them that actually came in the box and decided to do 2 and 2, because even 1 felt like an absolute waste of points when you actually are playing the game. I mean, they'd hit pretty good, but they're only 10 hit points, so even if they hit something, once they get hit back, they die. Oh, I think that's the neighbors across the street. Or I live in an apartment, so there's a lady that lives across the way that I think they have a bunch of kids over there. But they're not my kids. I don't know if you saw this in the other video, Zane, but I put the texture paint on my eel bases, so you can see there's some like seashells and stuff, and I magnetized the deepkin eels, so they're going to be ready to go eventually for Warcry. The eels are pretty cool in Warcry. They're not super killy, but they are very fast and they're durable. So they're really good for playing the missions. But they're not like some of the models that can maybe fly across the board and do some serious damage. But they're not bad. I mean, I'd say they're kind of on the high. No, not even high. They're like they have elite fighter stats, but they're only strength 3. So they're not quite as deadly as other elite fighters. But one of the things we noticed playing Warcry is it does not seem like they pointed fly correctly, because it's way too powerful for most of the missions in Warcry. If you fly, you just ignore so much of the hard part of the game. as far as like navigating terrain to get objectives and stuff. So I have 2 eels in my warband and a bunch of archers right now for the deepkin. And they're pretty good. I've only played them once in a multiplayer game so far, but one cool thing about Warcry is it's pretty low stress campaign management. So I think pretty much all of us are going to be running multiple different warbands and keeping track of them separately. So I'll have the Deepkin and my Unmade. My buddy's been playing Daughters of Cain, and then also he's got a lot of other Sigmar warbands, plus some of the, the Untamed Beasts, the Iron Golems, the Splintered Fang. So he's got quite a bit of options as well for what other warbands he wants to run. I mean, a lot of us that play together played Warhammer Fantasy mostly back in the day. So we have a lot of different fantasy models and armies. So for a lot of the Warcry warbands, it's like, buy the cards and, I already have enough Beastmen, I have enough Skaven, I have enough Demons, I have enough Khorne Mortals, I have enough Slaves of Darkness, right, to play any ones I want. But, of course, I decided to go with the Deepkin because I didn't own any of them, and then I get to buy stuff. Anybody in the chat excited for 9th edition 40k? And Little Space Marine Dune Buggy that could? I'm probably the least excited I've been for a new edition at any point that I've actually, been excited about the hobby. That price increase really kind of made me a little bitter, as it always does. And then on top of that, it wasn't like I was dying to play 40k every weekend anyway. And then you got the worldwide pandemic shutdown going on. So I wasn't really getting to play any games for a while. So yeah, I'm not like jonesing for 40k at all, really. My plan is I'll wait. I sold all my 40k books, and what I'm going to do is just simply wait. So if Eldar or Admech, I'm going to wait until either of them, Eldar or Admech, get their codex. And then that's when I'll play 9th edition. And there's the possibility that I don't care at that point at all, because I don't know how long that's going to be. So maybe I won't be playing 9th edition at all. We'll see, though. So it'll be interesting. This will be an interesting transition for me. Dark Yellow, Whelpy. Going night-night, buddy. Oh, we're building tanks. Yeah, with some of my painting techniques would probably work pretty good on like historical tank models and stuff. But there's also a lot of good YouTubers that focus on that subject specifically. Well, I can't remember his name, but he might be German. And I think he's like the Tiger Prop Show or something. I like that guy. I think it's called the Tiger Props. So yeah, I think by using this wash in the deeper recesses of these wood panels too, which was not the original plan until it looked like it needed it, I think it adds quite a bit more than what I was originally going to be doing with just basically outlining everything. And it gives me a little room to be a little loose, but more shadows back in. Yeah, this step is when it's actually starting to come together a bit better. Looks a little more interesting now. Finally, because the wood was not looking all that great, and then I had to redo it, and I wasn't happy with it again. So I'm happy that it's with this step. It looks much more interesting, and interesting is all we want. So. Just the only downside is we have a lot of pieces to get through. But actually, I think I only got one or two more of these little wall sections left, and then these type of pieces, they're not nearly as beat up, so they'll be easier to get through. There's not as many like little hidden details, and these ones have skulls and stuff tucked in everywhere. And been kind of be up at 6. Yeah, that's only 6 hours of sleep you're looking at right now, Sloth, so you might want to head to bed. Yeah, tell her they're just the crew members for your tanks. I don't know if you backed the Ghost Brush Dry Brush Kickstarter that I did, but when I do those Kickstarters, I like to include an option for a cool miniature for people to get and paint. So that could be a way you could get a miniature to paint without getting all the way into like a 40K game or something. But actually, I don't know if you're into the idea of going down to the game store and playing games, but Warcry, you don't actually need all that much stuff. I guess you'd have to buy the rule book and stuff if you wanted to play, but yeah, if you don't already have people to play with, that means you're gonna have to start going down to the game store and looking for games. And sometimes games like Warcry, there's just not as many people playing them as there would be like a 40K. So it might not necessarily be worth it if you couldn't even find a game in your area. Like an opponent, I mean. I should have been using my finger to wipe away the excess earlier. I just started on this one, and instead of letting it be a little too sloppy, I can actually just clean it real quick with my finger, which I did not do earlier. Oh well. All right, I think this piece here is just about done, and then looks like I got one more section like this, 2 bridges, a big kind of platform which is similar to these. So yeah, I'm glad I made extra wash but it does appear that I will not be needing it all. Well, there we go, looking good. Make sure it's real dark around the skeleton. I might even go back and make sure that, do another coat around the skeletons. That way when I hit them with their bone color, it might make them, well, not might, it will make them pop even better. Let's see, there's no skeleton on the next piece, so I'm gonna just go ahead and do that right now. I'm gonna go back and do another coat on all these big skeletons. The Ghost Brush Kickstarter was earlier this year. You can get a set on eBay if you just click the link in my video description. But the ghost brushes aren't on eBay, or the dry brushes aren't on eBay yet. Just the rounds like I'm using right now. This is a round 6. And then once I'm kind of done with shipping the Kickstarter, then the dry brushes will also be available in the sets on eBay. And I'll probably even actually look into adding more options. Right now there's just just the full set, but I think in the future I'll have options where you can just buy like 2 size 2s or 2 size 00s, stuff like that. Just some, just in case you don't want to get a whole new set. Maybe you only need to replace a single size. Yeah, it's pretty funny that I don't know what's happening over at Zane's house, but he had some that he almost killed and brought back to life. Like they sounded like they were done for sure. So he's my #1 testimony to the durability of my brushes. 'Cause he let paint dry completely solid on them and managed to recover them somehow. But even watching my streams, I almost killed this brush, I thought, and here we are. Still using it about a month later. But this actual brush I have been using for, probably a year. Even though I own many brushes because it's my brand, I just use the same ones over and over. Even though it's a little more beat up than a brand new one, just use the same one over and over again until it's actually officially done. Dead forever. And talking about brush care, that reminds me, I'll give it a little rinse real quick just to help potentially prevent paint from drying in it. Yeah, they're just on eBay right now, so that's kind of been my strategy. The Squidmar ones, I just looked at those. Not interested at all in buying them, but I'm surprised after the success of my first Kickstarter, more people weren't doing it as well. Because I was maybe the first YouTuber to do a paintbrush, I guess. There had been other companies doing paintbrushes for miniatures, but they didn't have really any presence as far as YouTube. Now he obviously is a big channel, so he's gonna drum up a lot of support just from his huge following. But I'm pretty happy with what I accomplished, and I did it with less than 1,000 subscribers on the first one, and it basically changed my life. So anyway, on his Kickstarter, it looked like he's getting them made by Da Vinci & Co., and they say his name on them. So I would check the DaVinci & Co. website and see if you're paying extra on the Kickstarter when you could buy the exact same brush right now right off the website of the company he said that's making them. But for me, for a Kolinsky Sable brush, I would go with a Skoda. I've never used DaVinci, so I don't know about their quality. I've heard they're good though, so I'm sure it's a good brush. But my favorite high quality, high-end brush is in a Skoda, which is handmade in Spain. It's like a 3rd or 4th generation family business. And they are amazing. I'll show you one here. I barely ever use them because you don't really need brushes like this for almost anything you do, but here's the Skoda Optimo Kolinsky Sable made in Barcelona, size 0. And I'll do this maybe with, if I want to do little thin scratches on something. And I got about 6 of them, 8 of them maybe, different sizes. I got 4 Optimos and 4 Tajmirs. These are very teeny tiny, very nice. And I actually talked with them. I was talking with the people at a Skoda to make me a Kolinsky Sable brush for an upcoming Kickstarter. But the price is really, really high. Like, those brushes are expensive. But what I'm trying to do with the ghost brushes is I'm just trying to give people something they can count on that's good. A lot of people, this is just about getting models painted up real nice and having a good time. And it's not about trying to flex on how much money you spent on your paintbrush. Now, I know obviously there's a market for trying to tell people that, this is the best paintbrush, so buy this one. And also you got to pay a premium for it because it's the best, or I'm telling you it's the best. But what I wanted to do was give people something they could be perfectly happy and satisfied with and make great models. And I wanted to just try to keep it as like a fair as price as possible. Or, within reason, I guess. And so far, nobody's cheaper than mine. Outside of going to, you could go to like a Walmart or your local Michael's or craft store, but mine costs less than Army Painter, GW, Artist Opus, Bombwick, Squidmar, all of them. Mine costs less. I have exactly 0 bad reviews of them, and thousands of people bought them. Not a single person. This might jinx me right now. Maybe I'll get some bad reviews, but out of the thousands of people that actually have purchased the ghost brushes, there's been 0 negative reviews. I've never had... Well, I had to replace a couple brushes on the first Kickstarter that somebody's dog ate, but for the most part, I haven't had to even... I've had to replace less than 10 brushes, and I've shipped probably 30,000. So that seems pretty good. Well, that's just sounds really funny that the brush is getting put through super glue over there, Zane. If you want the nice teeny... I mean, look at this. This is... Let me show you here. I'll rinse off this. Well, if you want a teeny tiny brush, wait for my next Kickstarter. But if you don't want to wait and you want an expensive teeny tiny brush. The Escoda Kolinsky Tajmir 5.0. This one is very tiny. So that one's almost worthless because it's so small. The paint, you can use it with like ink, you know, you could, but like acrylic paint almost dries instantly when you have that little on there. Oh, I don't. Yeah, did I have to replace some for you? I don't even. But I think it's still been less than 10. Maybe it has been 0, but I honestly, and if it's not less than 10, it's got to be less than 20 for 100%. So here we got this big platform, and this is the last of the kind of more complicated wood structures. But yeah, I do check all my brushes by hand, although I'm in the process of basically getting all that checking done for me, which will save me a massive amount of time. And once that quality control is done without me having to do it all by hand, then I can really start getting more retail accounts and get more people painting. But because currently I check them all by hand, I know I'm trying to send the best of the best, and very, very few get by my test procedure to see if they're going to be a good paintbrush. And of course, test procedure, I just mean, I hand wash them, and then I make sure the tips are good, and that sort of thing. Got a little bit of this on these kind of nails. Yeah, basically in the scale model world, this would be pin washing, except I don't got the advantage of it actually just filling in all the cracks for me, as if, when I use my oil paints or something, or an actual panel liner paint. I'm doing it the bad way, the slow way, I guess. Ooh, I think we'll put a little bit of darkness in the knot of the wood there. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, well, you didn't replace them because I sent you bad ones, right? You replaced them because you left them in a paint cup? That's different. Yeah, the next Kickstarter official... Well, I have this really, what I think is a good idea. And it's kind of low risk to try it on Kickstarter. Still paintbrush related, but I might try that soon. But for sure, I have been working and testing with a factory on getting the Ghost 3.0. So if anybody's watching this, that's an exclusive breaking news for you. Size 3.0 is in the works. And it's going to be awesome. Also been trying to upgrade my packaging a little bit. Nothing too crazy that's going to cost the consumer at all, but just to make it look a little bit more professional. they'll still be the same price for a while. I don't know, I might have to raise the price here sometime this year by like a quarter. Not by percentile a quarter, but I mean by like 25 cents. But I don't think I'm going to need to do that for a little while. We'll see with the factories. Obviously, these factories are that were all shut down in China and stuff were hit extra hard with the corona. So hopefully they don't now start charging me more to cover their loss, which is possible though. So we'll play it by ear, but so far they seem okay. Hoping actually instead of charging more to cover their losses, I'm hoping they give me a discount to keep their customers happy. Man, whoever designed this terrain really wanted to put a lot of skulls on it. Guess I think that's actually kind of a running joke with all Warhammer terrain. Even a lot of Warhammer models, I guess. But, I mean, this is just spiky wooden fence stuff, and by the way, every crack there's a skull. Trying to make sure I darken in where the pieces of wood are connecting and where things are overlapping the wood or the wood's overlapping other wood or other things. Anywhere there's a nail. Yeah, I think you'll be able to kill the little one. I have faith in you. I think you can dab it into some liquid cement or something. Trying to make sure I really wash all the vines and all the places objects are overlapping, which basically down the middle of every one of this sides of this thing is all vines and overlapping wood and skulls stuffed in. And then near the bottom you got the kind of nails sculpted on. Yeah, hopefully when this is all said and done, this will be a good looking set of terrain that will attract more players at the store whenever they get open back up. Actually, here in Arizona, the stores could be open, but I don't know what the rules are exactly, but I know some game stores are starting to open back up. But my local store has not. Seems like the more the news that comes out about it, maybe the mask isn't really all that important for the prevention of the COVID. But I'd be willing to play and mask required, If it was like, yeah, the game store's open, but you gotta wear a mask to hang out, I'd be down. I'll wear it. Don't bother me. I can go outside and take it off and scratch my beard when I need to. Alright, kind of got the outside of this done. Oh, kind of missing in this area here though. And we just got to get kind of more organized wood planks. And then where they have the little knots in the wood, I decided I'll go ahead and give them a little bit of the wash too. Kind of further enhance their kind of interest or detail in the model a bit. Alright, once we get all of this stuff kind of worked out, I'll figure out what I'm going to do on the inside. You know, more of the same, but I just gotta get it in all the right spots, I guess. Cool, cool, cool. This one's definitely not lacking in little details here. I mean, it's got so many skulls, it's got nails in all the wood, it's got knots and texture and scrapes and cuts. Probably kind of hard to see. The dry brushes are on Kickstarter. If you actually wanted to do a late pledge for the dry brushes, if you message me on the Kickstarter platform, I could handle it that way. So it is, if you did want the dry brushes, you know, and you wanted to get in on the Kickstarter, just let me know in a message over on Kickstarter what pledge level you were interested in and what country you're in. I'll be able to handle it over PayPal, basically. So as long as you can make the payment on PayPal, I would be able to get it shipped out for you this year. Alright, it's probably not a great view for you guys, for me getting the get on the inside of this platform here without blocking it with my hand, but I think I'm going to take my finger and just smear it. Any pooling, it didn't really do much, but if there was any pooling, that would have helped smear it. Yeah, I really think this is going to save me quite a bit of time once it comes to the skulls and the vines, because by putting this wash already on them, I'm just going to basically have to thinly highlight kind of a bone color, because it's basically already a brown washed with a dark brown. So once you highlight it with a bone color, those brown shadows should look fine for bone. Instead of like, you know, base coating in skeleton bone and then washing it with Agrax Earthshade or sepia and then dry brushing 2 or 3 more bone colors back on. I think I'll be able to get it in all probably one coat. Pretty excited for that. Or maybe, well, it might be 2 coats. One thin base coat that leaves all this brown wash shadow at the base of it. And then maybe just a couple tap highlights. To pop out, you know, the forehead, basically, or the top of the eye sockets. And now that I think about it, I'll probably have to go back and make sure I fill in all the actual skeleton faces 100%, you know, in the eye sockets and stuff. So I don't have to wash those eye sockets again when I'm painting the skeleton and the bones. That's a time saver. Kinda. Obviously just ignoring it and not doing it is much more of a time saver. Yeah, I don't think we're going to actually get to doing the bone on stream or anything tonight. After I finish all the different wood pieces, it'll be the end for tonight, just for streaming. But yeah, I think it's coming out pretty good. I think this nice brown wash step has added a lot more interest in the wood and something more interesting to look at. So I'm just going to go back and make sure the eyes and nose of all these skulls are fully filled in dark. Maybe very easy to do it later, but so if I miss any, you know, I can touch it up later, but I'm just filling them in now. That way, as long as I just highlight around it, I don't have to touch it again. Okay, so that's all those. So real quick, I'm going to go back through them all and do the skulls. You glued a entire paintbrush to your desk? Here's an interesting thing, actually. I have skulls here that aren't base coated brown. So that could be a problem or slow me down when I do the skulls. So I might actually have to base coat them. Still going to try to hit them with the wash in the eye sockets now. You know, actually, if they're against metal, I'm just going to slop the wash over them and tint them brown. But where they're against the stone, I'm going to be a little more careful. There we go. That's not. Now this one. Ooh, it's right next to that stone. And right on top of it. I'm already making some mistakes, but in the grand scheme of things, these mistakes are very small. Okay, that's one there. Yeah, originally I was just putting the shadow underneath all the skulls, but actually I think what I want to do is base coat all the skulls. Speed rounds, basically. Let's just wash this whole skeleton. See if we like that. Really a heavy, loose kind of wash here. But next step is the metal. So once all this metal's picked out around them, maybe that brown wash over the primer will be enough to just highlight the bone right on top. And if not, this isn't a huge investment of time. Yeah, after I get all the wood washed here, I'll probably call it a night and maybe put on a movie or something. I'd like to be going to bed at least, before 4. I don't mind if I slept in, if I go 4 till noon. 4 a.m. till noon as a sleep schedule is not the worst, but I think I'd prefer 3 to 11 or 2 to 10 a little bit more. And actually I changed, so I was, sometimes I'm up all night, then I changed my sleep schedule and I was going to bed pretty early, like midnight, 1 o'clock, and then I downloaded that video game and I was up all night again, but just not doing anything productive. And now I'm trying to get back into... And a lot of it is just for right now, because when you're trying to get these Kickstarters shipped, a lot of work. And it just feels a little easier to get that work done during the day and a little easier to hobby and stuff at night for me. So since I gotta ship all that Kickstarter, it's much better I'm using that daytime energy to get stuff cleaned and shipped and ready to go. Cool. All right, we got 2 more skeleton things to touch up, and then a few of the more regular wood pieces, and then we made it. Oh, here's one on the against the stone. Got to be careful on this one. Ooh. And here's another one. And here's 2 more, but they have a lot of purple on them, so I don't know if the brown will cover it that good. But we're going to just wash them brown and figure it out when we get to the bone stage. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, there's actually some areas like right there where the wash had gotten on the kind of stone features. Not a huge deal, but I might touch it up. But those kind of touch-ups to the stone will be at the very end. Because no reason to touch it up now, and there's still potential to make little mistakes on it. Definitely gonna save it for the final touches. Alright, so that's all that. Now we'll go on to the big piece here. Got my skeletons actually magnetized on. A lot of my magnets, I don't do anything special. I just glued 2 magnets on the side, which look kind of like bolts in the structure or whatever. And then I glued a magnet onto this, and the 2 magnets kind of line up with the brackets or whatever. And I think it looks pretty decent for 0 work and just gluing magnets directly onto the model. Get the wood there. Get underneath here. These skeletons, there's 4 of them. 2 on each side. I don't know if I'm gonna base coat them with brown wash. Feel like they might, just the way they're placed, it might be better I maybe slowly base coat them a little bit. nobody's probably ever going to see underneath here, but just in case it's somewhat visible from the front, we're going to go ahead and, you know, place our shadows underneath there as well. That way, if there's even just a peek from the front that you can see that, at least it will have some interest. My technique isn't as good on these kind of cleaner wood surfaces. But, you know, we're just trying to make sure we have something interesting happening. I'll take those off. I think actually it wouldn't be a terrible idea to add more water to my mixture while I'm working on these kind of flat, clean surfaces, or cleaner, just so the nicks and stuff aren't quite as dark, but yeah, that's about it. We're just, well, I mean, we got quite a few left, but we're getting there. I think if there was anything to maybe learn or whatever from this stream was, you know, spending a little extra time on basically painting in some cast shadows. Should pay off and look pretty good. And then eventually all this will be matte coated. Alright, that's good. Just put a little bit on there and maybe you can rub it away. On the inside it can be a little looser, a little darker if we want, because it should be in a bit in shadow. All right. What are you working on tonight, Zane? Probably painted 20 models since the last time we were on stream together. On to the speeder. Oh, did you check out the new buggy that they showed? The Mario Kart? That one's pretty crazy looking. I don't think I like it very much. Most of the new Marine stuff is really, really awesome looking, but the Mario Kart buggy does not do it for me at all. Looks maybe borderline terrible. I think that one's done. Should be easy enough to get this ladder real quick. I don't know if doing each nail is gonna just look like polka dots, but I'm gonna put it on each one and I'm gonna use my finger to just wipe it all away. It didn't really work. It's fine. We're gonna stick with it. The nails aren't sculpted enough anyway to deserve full detail. I hit the inside. Of the rungs of the ladder, I guess, where they meet the wood there on the side. Trying not to get it on the outside, but then we'll do the other side. Cool. Got kind of a shadow on the inside edge of it now. Yeah, the dune buggy thing, it's too squished together. Like they really were trying to make it a specific size without considering what it was going to look like with all those details. Like almost if just where the driver is, you don't need to see the Marine sitting there. Could have just been an enclosed like canopy or whatever, windshield, where there's no sight of the actual Marine inside it, because he's what throws off the scale, and then his head is right next to the Gatling gun, like literally a centimeter away from where that machine gun is going to be firing. Doesn't look right. I'm going to do something to pick out different woods in these. Probably with like a different wood color, brown color wash or something. But for right now, I'm just going to treat it the same way as the others and just, where the wood's touching and where there's marks and the eyes of the wood. I think even maybe taking like a camo shade or something and just really watering it down and running it over top of a couple of these different style logs or beams could add some variation in these pieces here. My plan is to be done with this terrain by Saturday, which means hopefully Friday night I can varnish it, give it a matte coat again. And I think today's Monday, or technically Tuesday now. I don't know. I might not get it finished by Saturday. I'm just like, oh god, that means I have to do all the medals tomorrow and then do all the bones the next day. Gotta kind of psych yourself up for that because there's so much. Yeah, I know that little buggy's definitely getting some cool third-party 3D print files to change the way it looks. People will be working on those right when that thing comes out. Pretty much everything else pretty cool, but you can tell people hate that thing just with all the memes floating around of it. The Mario Kart. But even if people hate it, one way to sell a bunch of them is if the rules are really good. Now it obviously just looks like it has an onslaught Gatling gun and 2 heavy bolters. So like a heavy 10 Gatling gun and 6 strength 5 heavy bolter shots. Which, you know, whatever. Anti-infantry dune buggy. But when the new book comes out, you know, they could have specific stratagems for those units. Which always can make something much better. Whoop. This is the bottom of the bridge, so I'm going quite a bit looser and faster here. Yeah, as far as 9th edition goes, I mean, I know I said it, but I'm sure it's just a combination of everything going on. But I'm in no rush to jump in and play. I'm not buying that starter set. And I'm not even buying the rules or anything until my army gets a codex. The exception being if I need to buy the rules or the rule book or something to make content. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Mario Kart memes for the new Doom Buggy. The ATV, Primaris ATV Sandblaster, or whatever the heck it was called. All right. Washing this much terrain, you feel it. Gets boring, gets tedious. Don't think I'd ever be a good terrain painting channel. It's not my favorite. I haven't even read the terrain rules. The post looked a little too long and complicated, so I just decided to skip it. Wait till the game comes out and see what the actual rules say instead of the half rules they release in the articles. Like I did a video on the blast rules that they previewed, but of course, you know, without knowing all the rules, that's subject to change. But I saw it was almost like the old Warhammer Fantasy Forest rules, where you can't see through stuff, but if you're in, you could see out, and if you're out, you could see in, but nobody could see through, which is what the old Warhammer Fantasy Woods used to be like. I think Wood Elves could maybe even see farther through the woods, or maybe they just moved faster through them, but trying to crank this out. Oh, the other week, a couple weeks ago now, but I watched all the Toxic Avenger movies again. You seen those? They are crazy. I remember I watched them when I was younger, and I hadn't seen them for a really long time. And they are way more violent and crazy than I remember them as. Of course, when I saw them originally, I was really young. Probably way too young to be watching them. Now that I'm older and watched it, it was surprising what they actually had on camera. And what, like, the premise of some of the stuff was. But anyway, if you're going to watch Toxic Avenger, part 1 and 2... not too bad. Part 3, skip it. It's not even worth watching, it's so bad. And not in like a gross or gory, violent way, just in literally the movie is absolutely terrible way. Like it was a struggle to finish that one. And I was enjoying the first two, so that's how bad part 3 was. And then part 4 was right back to some of the craziest stuff you ever seen on a movie. So part 4 was wild. I think... Alright, we got 2 of these now. I think if I... maybe just... oops. Yeah, I'm not super happy with how it looks on these really kind of nicer wood planks. It looks better when there's a lot of chaos going on with all the details. But I think it's probably fine once it's matte coated. Oh, I think RoboCop's the same way, right? 1's good, 2's pretty good, and 3 is absolutely terrible. Is 3 the one where there's like the little gangster kid running the like Yakuza or whatever with the little like shockingly dumb is that part 3? I think it was. I don't know what I'm going to watch tonight, but I've been Not trying to watch a little more movies, but you know, a little movie, little TV here and there. I don't have like normal TV, but basically whatever they got on Amazon Prime. Oops. Been doing a lot of working out in the park, doing like burpees and push-ups, and I've been getting a lot of tingling in my shoulder blade. And I was hoping it was just from playing that video game and it would go away when I stopped. Now I only stopped for a couple days now, so maybe it'll go away. But I hope it's not just from my burpees and push-up workout, because I would like to continue to do those and increase the volume, but I don't want to give myself nerve damage in my shoulder blade. Alright, we got the stairs here. I think we'll kind of just... Yeah. On these flat surfaces, I've been kind of liking just kind of putting some down and kind of smearing it with my finger a little bit. Give it that sense of being kind of weathered and worn, but maybe not as clean of areas or lines. I don't know. It looks decent enough though. And make sure we get the shadows blocked in. When it comes to like these ladders, obviously it's just going to be sitting on stuff like that, so it's not a big deal, but you still want it to be a little interesting. Even like maybe if some of these areas look too clean. Okay, we got one more of those, and then we got 4 more platforms and 1 more other thing. Oh, if I wasn't streaming this, I would be taking a YouTube break. don't know how long this stream's been going. Well, I've definitely been trying to really, really push myself on my workout. So, it's certainly a possibility. But at the same time, when you're playing the video game, you know, sometimes you play for 5 hours and your arm is kind of, you know, 90-degree angle holding the mouse. So I could honestly see it being... But I was doing my workouts before the video game. A little bit. Lately I've been pushing them though. Trying to do them more reps and more intense. So likely that's what it is. And then playing the video game probably just wasn't letting it heal. So it's probably something that'll go away, but waiting for my gym to open back up. Some of them have in Arizona, but one I go to hasn't, even though they're still charging me. I'd be curious what they say when I ask them for my free 2 months. Depending on how I feel, I might end up just canceling them if they're not going to give me my free months when they've been charging me for a time that they've been closed during this world pandemic. But I don't want to go to a different one because they're the closest. And when it comes to going... I mean, I've been working out at the park during this whole pandemic thing, so I already know I can, you know, survive without it. But I miss some of the other exercises I can do with bigger weights because I don't own any big weights. Heaviest weight I own is 35 pounds. Kettlebell. But, yeah, I'm hoping once I can get back in the gym, then I can start exercising more kind of shoulder and upper back workouts than just pull-ups. And obviously there's a lot of impact when you're doing burpees. So maybe if I can just start using some more of the dumbbells and machines to strengthen my shoulder blades and the muscles around my upper back and upper shoulders, maybe the pain will go away then. But still, I'll have to wait for these gyms to open back up. Yeah, my gym doesn't want to give me free month or two for charging me when they're not even open. Like I just got billed again. They haven't been open for months. I could cancel my membership and go to a different gym, which isn't terribly farther away, but it is farther away. Well, if it was like only a mile farther, but if it's 24 hours, I'm not sure, then it's probably worth it. But all right, we got a big, flat, clean surface here. Yeah, I just got a, a regular, it's kind of a gaming mouse or whatever, but I'm left-handed. It's not exactly a left-handed mouse, but also my laptop's just kind of squished onto my painting desk, and it's not, ideal. Not a ton of room to rest my elbows, so my hands are either trying to rest awkwardly on the arms of my chair, if I remember, or kind of free floating, I guess. Yeah, my technique was good on the fences. It's not really good on these flat areas. But it's what we're sticking with. I think wiping it with my finger is at least somewhat interesting. It's kind of like applying a wash, but also, I'll get the bottom too. But also, it's not covering everything, so. A lot of this wash stuff underneath is more for if you can just happen to see these edges. From the top view. Oh, no. Downside of using your finger to wipe off brown wash when you're specifically trying to not get it on the stone is your fingers have brown wash on them, which happens to find its way onto the stone. But this is the one I made the mistake of actually gluing that platform on right in the beginning, and then I was smart and didn't do it to any of the others because I realized it was going to be a pain in the butt. Kind of get those inside crack areas first. Yeah, it's weird. The tingling in my shoulder blade or shoulders definitely feels like a nerve, but not really painful, but definitely like electricity type tingling. And, all my computer, painting, cleaning paintbrushes, taping boxes, a lot of things that are kind of similar in position of how I'm sitting and working, and so hopefully it'll go away. Might be trying a juice fast here in July. Been really interested in trying a juice fast, or juicer smoothie fast. So that'll be fun. Not 100% to try something like that though. You gotta kind of get in the right mindset. But I think I'd start out doing maybe 3 days or 7 days of just juice, fresh, not store-bought juice, but you make it yourself with fresh fruit and vegetables. It's super, super healthy for you, like crazy healthy. But there would be, some level of fasting, going on that you need to have some kind of dedication to trying it. Of course, it wouldn't hurt even if I just went 1 day and ended up not liking it. One day would be better than no days. Yeah, I've been doing all kinds of self massage and trying to stretch them and stuff. But a big thing is I've been doing a lot of burpees, which, you jump down to the ground and then do push-ups and try to spring back up, pop back up real smooth. And when you jump, from standing position down to the ground, it's kind of a heavy impact, I guess. I'm probably jumping into them a little too much instead of, maybe. So basically, I think my technique is wrong. I've been doing tons of them. Like today, I did 100 and 200 push-ups. It was too hot, but I was going to go for 160 and 320 push-ups. But it got so hot, I just gave up at 100. But like last time I did 155 and 310 push-ups. And but I think I'm doing too much of a jump into the burpee. Like I'm jumping into the push-up position instead of maybe putting my hands on the ground and then just jumping my legs backwards into the push-up position for the burpee. And I think what happened is because I'm jumping into the burpee that many times and it's hard on your body, I guess. I think that's what's causing the damage. Plus it's on my shoulder blade of my arm that I separated my collarbone. So because that arm is kind of separated from the collarbone, it doesn't quite, have the structural integrity probably. Because it was injured previously. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm just doing them a little too, amateur, I guess. Like I'm excited, I'm doing a lot, and I'm getting in that good, that good mental space of really pushing myself and not giving up and, putting up personal records, I guess, for how many I've ever done. Except for today, I was going to try to beat my record and go for 160, but it was really hot. And I didn't bring enough water. But anyway, I think I'm just not being smart on my technique a little bit. But the injury's already, or the tingling in the nerve or whatever is already happening, so I hope it goes away. One thing, if you do like a juice fast, I'm already on a pretty, there's all kinds of things going on. Like because I've been playing Warcry at the apartment with some friends, I've been buying way more junk food to keep in the house. Because that way on Saturday when we play, I have candy and soda and stuff to offer my friends. Which means all the candy and soda we don't eat on Saturday, I'm snacking on during the week. So that's not something I was eating or drinking a lot of at all for quite a while. And now I've been doing a little more junk food in my diet. But in general, like my diet would be, it's like a low inflammatory, or it's a good anti-inflammatory type diet with a lot of raw fruits and vegetables. And so maybe my body's just getting some inflammation from reintroducing candy and stuff. Who knows? Trying to be a little loose and random with the wood. Kind of letting my finger hopefully blend it in, and that's not bad. Funny, whenever you batch, this is like, I think the reason this feels so tedious is it's basically batch painting, right? I'm doing one color over many, many pieces. Because it's terrain, the pieces are very big. And it gets very tedious. So you can tell here at the very last piece that's getting the brown wash, I am ready to be done and willing to just roughly rub my finger over it and hope for the best, like I was doing right there on top. But yeah, so anyway, there's a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And this guy goes on a 60-day juice fast. Which I don't think I would do 60 days, but man, it sounds exciting. Even doing like 14 days would be cool. In my mind, though, I've been kind of committing to like, I'll do a 3-day or a 7-day. Maybe I should attempt a 7-day, and then if I feel good on day 7, go to 14. But, man, the amount of transformations and medications and stuff that he gets off of, it's pretty exciting. I'm not on any medications right now, but if it can get you off medications that you were told you had to take the rest of your life, then I feel like it could do anything, or, could still help even a somewhat healthy person. Which I feel like I'm in the somewhat healthy person camp. You're not gonna see me binge eating ice cream every day, and especially now that I cleaned up my diet a lot. Even though I might have had a mini candy bar today, I also had oranges, a banana, spinach, carrots, all raw, fresh, or not, well, fresh from the grocery store, not fresh from a garden or nothing, but raw, not cooked. So they should have had a lot of nutrients in them. Yeah, maybe I need to start. Maybe I'll do some arm circles also. I do them when I'm out working out and stuff, but maybe I'll try to do them slowly, like in an almost stretch style tonight before bed. But yeah, it's like the tingling's it doesn't happen like just usually any time of day, but now when I'm sitting here painting or on the computer, it starts happening, or cleaning brushes, which are times that I do not want to deal with it. So those are times I need to be productive, feeling good. All right, that's the last one. Cool. I think I might actually go ahead and run this brush through the brush soap, because I was not being very good on actually taking pauses to rinse it off. So, let's see what we can get out here. That's not too bad. Get a little more water in there. All right, there we go. Brush clean. Enough for a brush that I've been using for so long. Not a lot of extra effort into keeping it tip-top shape anymore. It's already served its purpose very well. So I'm just rinsing it off again, taking a paper towel and just giving it a kind of a squeeze. Well, I'm taking a pause here right now because I'm going to be shutting down the stream, and it's 1 o'clock. So if I put on a movie now, I can maybe be asleep by 3. I got to do some shipping tomorrow for eBay sales. I got some boxes ready, just no labels printed yet for the Kickstarter. But alright, I'm gonna take my little handy dandy yellow cup here. You can find these on eBay or Amazon. I have a link to them in the video about these little cups. Make your own washes. And the perfect shape of my little tray here lets it easy to pour. It's crazy, like it looked like so much was left in the tray, and then once you pour it in there, it's not really all that much. I'm gonna take a little bit of flow improver and a little bit of water. Might have been a little too much water. Just kind of let it swish around and pour off into there too. It's okay having the wash thin down, but it's also a good way to get a little bit extra off the bottom of that tray. There we go. I got my very own Sigor brown contrast wash, which I'll use it on whatever, some kind of monster or something next time I paint like a D&D monster or something, but it actually would be pretty good on the bases for my beach Deepkin elves here. Got these Deepkin elves. I feel like I did a pretty good job with the Zenithal Prime. And I feel like, honestly, if I hit them maybe with just a white dry brush from above, I mean, they're already brightest from above, but I might try to paint these in single coats and just let that pre-shade do all the work. So maybe we'll try that. Normally I pre-shade and use it as a map and then kind of work my darks and lights back and forth. But I just maybe will actually try to paint those Deepkin models in the one coat glaze technique over a zenithal prime. My rule is they have to look good enough to be, sold for a profit if I'm going to paint them. That looks pretty cool now that it's dry, huh? So the rule is it's got to be good enough to sell for a profit if I'm going to actually spend the time painting it. But also, I want to try to get better at painting every time I paint too, so I don't necessarily always try to cut too many corners. Kind of like to try to, problem solve, I guess, more than just speed paint. But yeah, I might try it on them because it's it's for Warcry, and even if I can just get them all base coated and kind of single coat, and then maybe a little bit of highlight on them, even if I don't have any intention of selling them for anytime soon anyway. And if I wanted to sell them, down the road, I could always add another highlight to them or something. Zenith. So I believe the zenith is when something's, at the top. So zenithal prime, you're priming it as if the sun is at its zenith, like directly above it in the sky. So if you look at like this model from below, he's really dark. Like there's still a lot of black and dark gray primer showing. And then as you look at him from above, he's brighter. So it kind of simulates that he's in the sunlight. So you can see, like here on his arm, if I put the same color over this entire model in a thin layer, the color over the whitish color would look more vibrant, and the same exact color over this darker primer underneath. See how dark he is if you look at him from below? So let's just say I painted him with one coat of a thin red. The red over the white would look red, but the red hitting kind of that black primer or that dark gray primer underneath would look like a really dark red, or a darker color. So it's almost like you get your highlight and shadow and stuff in one coat. And you can do it and then use even a contrast paint to you have to kind of thin out the contrast paint because they have pretty rich pigment that might cover up most of your zenithal prime. But basically it's prime the whole model black and then prime it from above white, or prime it from above gray and then selectively prime it from above white in just the areas you want the brightest. But what I do a lot is I'll do it all black. Show you. So I'll prime them all black, and then I use a white ink. Well, actually on him, I did him all black, and then I primed him from a kind of a 45-degree angle with the Israeli sand, the side of the elves. And then where the airbrush primer, the sand color over the black, I'm not fully covering it, so it's kind of like a dark sand. And then from above, they were more of a pure sand color. And then I mixed in some white and did kind of white like on the top of his head and top of his hand. Then what you can do is you can dry brush some pure white onto them and really completely pop out the edges of all the little details. and then just thinly glaze paint over it, and should be a really nice start. But yeah, that might be what I attempt on them, just because, you know, I mean, the models are cool, and the game's fun, but I'm not, well, it's so hard for me to commit to it. I'm like, well, I'm not trying to win any awards, but that's not true at all, because if there was a Warcry tournament and I bring my Deepkin, I would love to have an opportunity to try and win Best Painted Warband if that was an award given away. So actually, when it comes to like these kind of things, I am trying to win an award if I paint it, but so I guess we'll just see when we get to it. I got 10 archers, 3 eels to work on. I only need like 6 archers and 2 eels for my warband, but I'll paint them all at once, because in the future, if I end up selling them, I'll sell them as completed Age of Sigmar units and not a Warcry warband. But yeah. All right, Zane, I think that's all we got for tonight. Let's see how long we've been going. 2.5 hours almost. So, for everybody else, thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. Zane, always good hanging out. Appreciate you sticking around and hanging out with me so I can get some work done. And I think I need to go stretch my shoulder and my legs because I'm feeling cramped up here sitting in my chair. Too much computer game gave me that bad posture in 2 weeks. So that's all I got for tonight. Thank you, everybody. If anybody watches in the future, please subscribe. And always thumbs up. If you want to check out the Ghost paintbrushes, check out the link in the description below of any of my videos. And you should expect more in the future. I'm trying to... I deleted the video game off my computer, so I thought it was a better lifestyle being on here painting than it was being up late playing video games. So yeah, I'm going to be trying to get more painting done. Like I said, I want to try to get this terrain done by the end of the week and glued together and just completely off of my workspace. It takes up so much space. And once that is all done, I don't know if you saw the squigs, but I got some squigs that have been base coated and washed, so I got a lot of little details to pick out on them. But they're looking okay. Kind of went for this weird green and flesh tone kind of thing. So I got to do them. I got to do the Deepkin. I got to base. I think after the terrain, the next project after the terrain will be finishing the bases of the Unmade. And then I also got the biggest baddie of them all, the Ogroid Myrmidon, which I can't reach his package. The box that he came in, I don't know where it is. Oh, it's behind me. Really excited to paint this guy because he is crazy awesome. The Ogroid Myrmidon. Just an incredible model. So I really want to paint him. He's going to be an ally in my Unmade Warband. And very excited to get him painted. But he looks like he deserves, maximum effort, or at least close. At least, 75 to 100% of my best effort. So we'll see. The only downside of starting a project like that, where you're going to take a ton of time on it, means a lot of other projects aren't going to get finished during that time. So it's a balance. That's all I got. Thank you so much, guys. Oh yeah, the green apple squigs. Yeah, I just wanted to do it for fun. Next stream was sadly probably just going to be the metal on all this terrain, which I'm not looking forward to. There's so much of it. There's just so much. But I don't know. Who knows? Either Deepkin, Squigs, Terrain, or Myrmidon if I get them built. Or bases for my unmade. But that's all I got. Thank you so much. Adios.